Hey, it's News from Heaven. Today, angels always face the sun. And anytime we're talking about angels, it's good for us to listen, because what's the difference between us and an angel? Nothing. Angels have just figured out how to live in the divine design. So we can take a cue and start modeling behavior, and hopefully we can end up always facing the sun. Which, it sounds like, okay, you're going to have a UV radiation problem. But you know how in this show we always draw the landscape of the mind? And I'm always doing this exact same ritual at the beginning where I draw the sun up here, and then I draw the clouds down here, and the negative stuff that comes into the mind and the positive stuff that comes into the mind. It's not that outlandish. And people get right away that I'm describing positive and negative feelings with this diagram, or that's my assessment anyway. Oh yeah, people get what I'm talking about. I don't. If it's not true, I don't want to know. I want to stay in my insular bubble. But is that because there's some kind of correspondence here? That the idea of sun and clouds really does resonate with something that's going on directly in our minds, and if so, are angels finding out a way to always face this sun? How could we get it so that the interference coming in from the dark clouds is, we have some control over whether we're facing the storm front or the sun above? All right, well, and we get into divine love and wisdom here. I'm talking about the book, Divine Love and Wisdom, but in my humble opinion, pretty full of divine love and wisdom. And we're going down to number 129. This is a free download. You can download this exact same file that I'm using. Come with me to get it all figured out and going and everything like that. Angels always face the Lord as the sun. Aha. So south is on their right, north on their left, and west behind them. So right away we cut to the chase this is, and Swedenborg goes on and on in this book about how the Lord, divine love and wisdom, plays the same role spiritually that when you're on planet Earth, the sun plays physically, as in giving of the light and heat that we use, powering biological systems. Life comes out of the sun in a way. So it comes out of the Lord in its own way there. And add a little spiritual world, non-spatial weirdness. South is on the right, north is on the left, the west is behind them. That the directions there are relative to their consciousness rather than the directions remain fixed and we're the ones who turn around. Angels always face the Lord as the sun. Could this be part of what makes them angels in the first place? And to back me up in my initial assertion, you thought this guy's going way out on a limb. He's saying that we can be just like angels and that this is somehow relevant. Don't they use the phrase angels dancing on the head of a pin to talk about how irrelevant theological stuff is to normal life? Well, it's not. It's just like talking about future career options for us. All these statements about angels and the way they face the Lord as the sun should also be understood as applying to us spiritually, since we are spirits as to our minds, and angels if we are engaged in love and wisdom. How? I'd like to be an angel. How do you do that? All you have to do is engage in love and wisdom, which, of course, is a huge field of endeavor. One of the components of it, though, is to face the Lord as the sun. So after death, when we shed the outer forms we have derived from the physical world, i.e. this stuff, hair, and we become spirits or angels. Which one do you want to be? Right? The angels are, that mindset is out there for the taking. Since angels constantly do face the sunrise, the Lord. So even though, okay, we get it, it's the Lord, but still, like the Lord's over there, I'm facing the Lord. How is that practical? We say of people who are engaged in love and wisdom from the Lord that they see God, that they look to God, that they have God before their eyes, meaning they are living like angels. So right away, if we have God before our eyes, and we know instinctively that doesn't mean look in the same place, maintain eye contact with the camera. It's having to do with state of priorities, right? You can just get the feeling of that right in the statement. Why do we do it? We say these things in the world both because that is what is really happening in heaven. We sense that this is how things work, and because that is what is actually happening in our spirits. So both we have a window into the spiritual world that you can get sort of instinctively, or you hear the background noise from it. There's this whole level of reality that we are actually very connected to, and you get this ambient sense that that's how things are. But also, we have a spirit right now, and even if we've got a body, and we're turning this way to go look for our car keys, and we're turning that way to go sit under the stoop. You sit under a stoop, you sit on a stoop. We're going these different directions to do these different little tasks in our life, but we have a spirit as well. And the spirit is turning and facing directions. It doesn't have it all to do with where we're going physically. It has to do with what are we focusing on? What are we loving? What are we intending? And there is a way that we can have our spirit focusing up toward the source of love and wisdom in the spiritual world. And that's all it is. That arrow is the entire way you be an angel. This little arrow right here. So how can we get that going for us? Do we not all look straight ahead at God when we pray, no matter which way we're facing? I don't know if you pray. I have in my life. And think about how you do it. You've seen it depicted in shows and stuff. People go like this, and they think about the Lord. And you're not thinking, oh Lord, who is up behind me to the left. You think wherever you are, if you're needing help, there's sort of this feeling like God is there. God is in front of me. Don't we concentrate our spirits on even our conception of the Lord when we're doing that? The reason angels constantly face the Lord as the Son is that, why? How do they get hooked up with that? Is that angels are in the Lord and the Lord is in them. Okay, so somehow we've got an exchange going on here where this arrow, which is so difficult to maintain, isn't it really tough in life to stay focused on your higher principles or your belief in God, your conception of divine providence when things are tough? That's really difficult. How are angels doing it? Well, part of it is that God is in them in some way, so that's helping to steady and maintain that arrow. And when to say angels are in the Lord, I would think it's that they're in the Lord that's in them rather than there's an angel up in there somewhere. But how would I know? So what does that mean? So you can draw a little nonsensical dot about it, but what's that talking about? The Lord exercises an inner guidance of their feelings and thoughts and constantly turns them toward himself. And this is something, it's too bad it's across the page thread and I made these unmanageable margins so that I could draw things, but if you can squint at your phone, the Lord exercises an inner guidance of their feelings and thoughts. This is and turning them toward himself. Now that might sound like claustrophobic, it could, but it's not anything that any of us are forced to have. In fact, I myself would love to have that. You think I want to be manager of my thoughts and priorities over the day? When am I feeling the best? I'm feeling the best when I'm focused on love and wisdom, when I'm focused on the Lord and what that is, and in the higher principles that I've learned. I would love to have somebody steering and managing that. That's a very high-end life service, and it's very difficult to get, and it only comes in freedom. Nobody is ever forced to turn that way. That's why you can happily turn to the opposite of what the Lord is and live an entire life, and God can never force you into that. But this inner guidance of the thoughts and feelings, because it is so hard as you're trying to go over these different situations to keep that arrow going, it's only by this is why we're trying to allow the Lord into us, because the Lord knows, like, okay, if you let me do some steering here, I can get you where you want to be all the time. That's what regeneration is. That is what the path to being an angel is. This means they cannot help but look toward the east, where they see the Lord as the sun. That is the state of mind. That is here. This little character here doesn't usually move. I just draw things coming to the head. But another way to look at it is that whether or not we see what's yellow or what's black here depends on where we're looking. Are we peering up through to here, or are we blinded by the cares of life and the sort of matted knots of narratives we've written for ourselves and hang-ups and all the morass of mess that's in our conscious experience? Which are we turning? That is what we're trying to get God to say, because it's even like, just like we almost are infants in this way, like, just look up. Remember to look up. It's very hard to do when it's hard to lift your head and you're a little baby. So this is like trying to get that instituted. And when we do, no matter what situation we're in life, because I find myself occasionally in that state, and I do know that you can be in the same life situation and you can be feeling much better about things when you have this love and wisdom in mind. We can see from this that angels do not turn themselves toward the Lord. The Lord turns them toward himself. And this is another reason why it's not there. What Swedenborg does that I think is cool is flattens the hierarchy of people. You can think, I'm a person, here I am, and man, in whatever way, here's me here, but there are people that are just up so many levels from me. Look at this person is so, you can think of it superficially as, oh, this person is so much more talented than I am, or more popular than I am, or more successful than I am. But you can also think of it from a moral sense of, oh, I'm way down here and I've got all these issues, but this person is just, has it so together. Well, if you took that all the way up to like the level of angels, where whenever people encounter these, I was thinking there's sort of two ways that people think about angels. One is the biblical tradition, and one is the personal experience, like near-death experiences, spiritual experiences with them. Whenever people encounter angels, they're just like, man, it was this amazing being of light. These beings were so comforting and so beautiful, and you just think, oh, those angels are way better than me, just way more skilled and intrinsically just such a more ethical together human being. That's not true. Because the only thing that's making those angels angels is the Lord has gotten a word in edgewise here. It's the Lord that has pulled them up here. This ladder and our position to it is not something that's intrinsic in us. This is just the Lord. This is how much the Lord's gotten to exercise, to flex, to exercise his own ability in there. So these angels, and the angels know that, and they love it, because they, looking down, they don't want to be better than you, because that's the nature of when you get pulled up into what the Lord is like. Because look at how much better is the Lord than all of us combined. But the Lord is not saying, you compared to me, you're nothing compared to me. Yeah, that is what the Lord sounds like. That is a game the Lord could easily play and win, but that's the opposite of the divine. Divine essence is the opposite of that. The divine essence is for everyone to be as happy, fully happy as is possible. So the more we let this in, which pulls us up this ladder, the more these angels are feeling like, yeah, I want you to know that I ain't nothing either. And that's good news, because it means that I can comfort you and reach out to you and not have you feel like, oh, I'm nothing compared to you. And just know that we can work to get you up here into the joy that comes from acknowledging what the Lord is doing and letting the Lord turn us toward the Lord. And you might think, oh, that's restrictive because it's just one direction rather than all out here. But the Lord is infinite. This is all the love and wisdom. This whole, the whole, whatever, 330 degrees that are out here, there's no love and wisdom in it compared to the sun. Right? So there's actually more in this little slice of direction than there is in all that combined. So it's pretty happening. When angels are thinking about the Lord inwardly, they think of him simply as in themselves. Then again, you get this dynamic. Sorry that I'm pausing so much, but these are just like some really great thoughts. Here, again, what we're doing is not, oh, we're going to turn towards the Lord and so we're going to lose something. Before, we felt like, okay, there's the Lord out there and I'm just down here. But now, when we turn toward the Lord, when we think of, where is the Lord? The Lord's in here. The Lord's in me. The Lord is with me in here. It's a more empowering state of life. This deeper thought itself does not create any distance, while more outward thought does. The thought that acts in unison with eyesight. The reason is that the outward thought is in space, while the inward thought is not, though even when it is not in space, as in the spiritual world, it is still in an appearance of space. So there's an appearance, meaning you can see angels and see this spiritual sun, which is the Lord, and it's out there. And it's like they're facing it. But the experience of it for the angels is not like, oh, I know you're out there 93 million spiritual miles away. The experience is you're right here. You're right here. You're right here. You're all over my thoughts and feelings, guiding them to what is good and what is true. The reason is, oh yeah, I already said that. It is hard for people to understand this, though, if they think spatially about God. Don't do that. Don't let friends think spatially about God. God is actually everywhere. and yet not in space. So God, that's what omnipresent is that there's nowhere you can be that God's not, but it doesn't mean that God is the size of the universe. There's no space application to the divine. So he is both within and outside angels, which enables them to see him both inside and outside themselves. Inside themselves when they are thinking from love and wisdom, and outside themselves when they are thinking about love and wisdom. And that is a cool juxtaposition there, because there's a cool experience in both. The idea of the Lord in your heart and mind is really comforting. That is really nice to feel that presence there and feel that support there. There's also something cool about the idea of somebody who can help you. Like, I need to see you there. I need you to be here and be able to comfort me and interact with me. There's a joy in that too. And there's these two states. This is when we're thinking from love and wisdom. This is when we're thinking about love and wisdom when it's in us versus when we consider it. You need both to understand it. For what it's worth, these are the two states of Jesus Christ, extinction and I forget what they are. But it basically, there are states when you hear Jesus saying like, God, will you help me? And states where Jesus is talking as realizing that he is God. We go through these in a micro little level ourselves. And this is why we're always like day and night, states of warmth and then states of less warmth. This is how we build and move and grow and all that stuff. This topic will be discussed in greater detail, though, in the works on the Lord's omnipotence, omniscience, and omnipresence. What a nice sentiment. I almost want to stop there, but there's this funny little paragraph at the end that I decided, let's just include it. What's the worst it could do except ruin the flow? Everyone should beware, not to slip into the terrible heresy that God pours himself into us and is in us and no longer in himself. I don't know if you've ever had that thought, but it might have been something that was rampant in Swedenborg's day. And he seems to say that you got to not do it. God is everywhere within us and outside us, being in all space non-spatially, as I have already explained. That is, if he were in us, he would not only divided up, but enclosed in space. And we could then even think that we were God. Okay, this heresy is so loathsome that in the spiritual world it stinks like a corpse. And that's the news from heaven. I know, it's like it's an abrasive way to end. But what I think is being said there is to think that we are God, and that God is something that has less agency than we do, and that really God only comes to life in us, and now I've got a piece of God. What that does is it destroys this. The whole experience of being up here. This is not, wow, I'm powerful. Wow, I'm good. This is the universal Lord that I can see in front of me and feel within me. That is what has power, because that's the way we can all gather together as a human race. The way that you can't, a million egos who all, or billions of egos who all want to be, assert themselves, can never really reach the potential for community that you can get when you have a billion trillion humble minds and hearts that want nothing more than to gather around shared joy and introduce people into it. Think about when there's something that you really love, that you really admire. For some people, it might be nature or the natural world. It might be a certain kind of art, whatever it is, or a movie or something that you just like. You're not even thinking. You wouldn't want to let yourself alter it because you think it's so great as it is. And when you're showing somebody, like, look at this thing, look at this and how it does this, and don't you? And you watch them light up with that same joy that you treasure. That is a seed that can grow into heaven. And that's what's happening here with these angels as they face the sun. They are not saying, man, I got up here, I made it, I got this promotion, I have this angel corner office. What they are saying is, I've discovered something, and my greatest joy now is to bring the next person into it. So that's what we can be aspiring towards, and that's how we can always face the sun. And that's the news from heaven. There you go. How was that? Hope you enjoyed it. Leave a comment. Let me know, does that idea lead you somewhere good? How are you using it throughout your week? I'd love to know that this is sparking something good. If you want to make programming like this possible, it's important for you to know that we need your help. So here's a little note from our Director of Development, Tim Bilger. Okay, you're probably like, wait, does everybody write like a child in that organization? I forged his signature here. But he wrote this, which I fully endorse. You may not know that we depend on donor support to create our programming, to share the insights and ideas contained in the writings of Emanuel Swedenborg. Oh yeah, Swedenborg doesn't just generate money. To do something like this there's not just a ton of profit in the explaining Swedenborg world. Well, we do. And we wanted to share an opportunity to support our recently established endowment fund for Off the Left Eye. This fund provides us with the ability to offset the costs of production and staffing. Consider your ability to make a gift and visit offtheLefteye.causevox.com and become a part of our community of donors. And thanks to everyone who's in that community, who is making this possible and making it possible for, if you found something you like, for the next person to find that, and for us to continue to give these ideas the treatment they deserve with more and more expertise and technology and whatever we need to get the meaning right to people. So thanks to all of you who have supported. Thanks to everyone who just watched this. I really enjoyed getting to talk through it with you. And if there was nobody listening, I wouldn't get to say it. And so from the whole team, thank you for this opportunity. And there's nothing that's been greater source of joy and inspiration for us than seeing all of you find something valuable in this. It's like I was just talking about, where you're trying to show someone something you love. I love the ideas. And to see all of you, not just, oh yeah, that's interesting, but get it and love it, and then think of things on your own about it and have it move you in ways that I never would have thought of. That's great. So thank you for doing that. Appreciate it. See you soon.